A young woman vanishes in broad daylight. Conflicting testimonies, scattered evidence like pieces of a terrifying puzzle, and a killer who might still be out there. This is not just another crime story. This is a question without an answer. And maybe, just maybe, you'll be the one to uncover the truth. Get ready. We're about to dive into one of the most chilling mysteries of the decade. On a cold November evening, the quiet town of Ravenwood was shaken by a crime so mysterious that it would take years to unravel. A young woman, 27-year-old Lisa Caldwell, was found dead in her apartment under circumstances that baffled investigators. What initially appeared to be an accident soon turned into a murder investigation, one that would expose deep secrets, hidden motives, and shocking revelations. It was Lisa's neighbor, Mrs. Hathaway, who first sensed something was wrong. She hadn't seen Lisa in 2 days, which was unusual. When she knocked on Lisa's door and received no response, she grew concerned and called the police. Officers arrived at the scene at 7:15 p.m. Breaking open the door, they found Lisa lying motionless in the living room. There were no signs of forced entry, and nothing seemed stolen. But something felt off. The autopsy would later reveal that Lisa had been poisoned. A lethal dose of digitalis was found in her system, a compound often used in heart medications, but deadly in large amounts. The question was, how did it get into her body? And more importantly, who had given it to her? Detectives quickly began piecing together Lisa's last known movements. Security footage from her apartment complex showed that she had returned home alone the night before her death, carrying a bag from a local cafe. This led police to question the cafe staff. The barista, a young man named Kyle Benson, recalled Lisa ordering a chamomile tea and a croissant. But there was no way to determine if the poison had been in the drink or if someone had tampered with it afterward. Detectives also searched Lisa's phone records and found a series of heated text messages between her and an unknown number. The messages suggested an ongoing conflict, one that might have turned deadly. Lisa's ex-boyfriend, Daniel Harper, quickly became a person of interest. Witnesses claimed they had seen him outside her apartment the night of her death. He denied any involvement, stating that he had only wanted to talk to Lisa. But his alibi for the time of death was shaky. There was also Lisa's co-worker, Samantha Lee, who had recently had a public falling out with Lisa over a work dispute. Had their professional rivalry escalated to something far more sinister? As detectives dug deeper, they uncovered yet another potential suspect, Lisa's landlord, Mr. Grayson. Tenants had long accused him of shady dealings, and Lisa had recently confronted him about overcharging rent. Could he have silenced her to avoid exposure? With 3 strong suspects and little physical evidence, the case hinged on forensic analysis and witness testimony. The police forensic team examined Lisa's belongings, hoping to find traces of the poison's source. Lisa's teacup was sent to the crime lab for analysis. The results confirmed what investigators feared. The remnants of chamomile tea contained traces of digitalis. But how had it been introduced? The cafe where Lisa bought the tea had no history of contamination, and none of the other customers who ordered similar drinks that day reported any issues. A closer look at the cup itself revealed a crucial clue: faint fingerprints on the rim that did not belong to Lisa. This suggested that someone had handled her cup after she had already taken a sip. Investigators now had a new question: who had access to Lisa's apartment after she brought the drink home? The answer came from a surprising source: Lisa's smart home assistant. Detectives retrieved voice command logs from the device, revealing that Lisa had buzzed someone into her building at 10:23 p.m. The voice log played a single name, Daniel. Daniel Harper was brought in for questioning. His demeanor was calm at first, but when confronted with the voice log evidence, his confidence wavered. "Yes, I went to see her," he admitted, "but I didn't hurt her. I just wanted to talk." Daniel claimed that Lisa had invited him in, but their conversation quickly turned into an argument. She had accused him of spreading lies about her at work, and he had stormed out. But Daniel insisted that she was very much alive when he left. The detectives pressed him on whether he had seen Lisa drink the tea. After a long pause, he finally muttered, "She took a sip while we talked, but she was fine." With no direct evidence linking Daniel to the poisoning, investigators turned their focus elsewhere. They revisited Lisa's workplace, speaking with Samantha Lee, her co-worker and former friend. Samantha had been avoiding police, and when finally questioned, she appeared nervous. "We had problems, sure," she admitted, "but I would never hurt her." Yet, when detectives searched her office, they found something chilling, an empty prescription bottle of digitalis. Samantha claimed it belonged to her grandmother, who had passed away months earlier. But why had she kept it in her desk drawer? A forensic analysis of the bottle revealed traces of Lisa's DNA. With a signed confession and forensic evidence, the prosecution built a strong case against Samantha. But the defense had its own strategy, claiming that Samantha had been coerced into confessing. With mounting evidence, Samantha was arrested on suspicion of murder. Under pressure, she broke down during the interrogation. "She was ruining my life," Samantha confessed. "She threatened to expose something that could destroy me." Lisa had apparently discovered that Samantha had been falsifying company reports to embezzle money. Fearing exposure, Samantha had planned Lisa's demise. She had visited Lisa's apartment under the pretense of reconciliation, laced Lisa's teacup with poison, and left before it took effect. The trial of Samantha Lee captivated the nation. Reporters filled the courtroom, broadcasting every moment to a captivated audience. The prosecution painted Samantha as a cold, calculating killer who had poisoned Lisa to silence her. The defense, however, argued that Samantha's confession had been made under duress and that the evidence was circumstantial at best. The trial began with opening statements. The prosecution laid out its case, asserting that Lisa Monroe was murdered in cold blood. Samantha Lee had the motive, means, and opportunity. The prosecution aimed to prove that Samantha poisoned Lisa's tea to keep her secrets buried forever. The defense countered. Samantha was accused of a crime she did not commit. The so-called confession came after hours of coercion. No direct evidence linked her to the poisoning. The case was built on assumptions. The prosecution called its first witness, Lisa's close friend, Emily Carter. Emily testified that Lisa had proof Samantha was stealing from the company. Lisa planned to report it. She was nervous but determined. Next, the forensic expert explained how digitalis worked. In small amounts, it caused nausea and dizziness. In larger doses, it led to fatal cardiac arrest. The amount found in Lisa's system was lethal. The defense cross-examined. Could the forensic expert confirm beyond a doubt that the digitalis came from Samantha? The answer: it was the same substance found in her desk drawer. But could someone else have placed it there? The expert hesitated. A dramatic twist came when the defense introduced a new theory. Lisa's ex-boyfriend, Daniel, had a motive too. Text messages revealed that Lisa also threatened to expose him for unethical practices at work. Lisa had dirt on multiple people. If she was silenced, why assume it was Samantha? The prosecution argued that Samantha had confessed. The defense reminded the jury that the confession came after 12 hours of intense interrogation. The jury appeared unsettled. Outside the courtroom, public opinion was divided. Some believed Samantha was guilty. Others speculated she had been framed. Social media buzzed with theories. Could a third suspect have had access to Lisa's tea before Samantha even arrived? As the trial entered its third week, the defense struck back. They challenged the timeline. The prosecution claimed Samantha poisoned Lisa's tea around 10:30 a.m. Yet, cafe security footage showed Lisa appearing fine at 11:15 a.m. If she had consumed a lethal dose, why wasn't she showing symptoms? The forensic expert was recalled. Digitalis poisoning typically manifested within 30 to 90 minutes. If Lisa appeared fine at 11:15 a.m., could she have been poisoned later when Samantha was no longer at the cafe? Murmurs filled the courtroom. Then, an unexpected witness took the stand, Daniel. He looked nervous. He admitted Lisa had confronted him about financial fraud days before her death. Did he see Lisa as a threat? He hesitated but admitted she had evidence against him. The defense pressed further. Where was Daniel at 11:30 a.m. on the day Lisa died? He claimed he was at home, but cell phone data revealed his phone had pinged near the cafe at that exact time. The tension in the courtroom escalated. Social media exploded with new theories. Could Daniel have poisoned Lisa and framed Samantha? The press called it the digitalis deception. Crowds gathered outside the courthouse, demanding justice. Some believed Samantha was guilty. Others chanted, "Free Samantha." In the final days of the trial, both sides prepared for their closing arguments. The prosecution urged the jury to focus on the facts. Samantha had the means, the opportunity, and the motive. Lisa trusted her, and she repaid that trust with poison. The prosecution reminded the jury of the digitalis found in Samantha's apartment and her deleted search history. How long does digitalis take to kill? Who else had reason to research that? The jury listened intently. Some nodded, others remained stone-faced. Then, the defense took the floor. The prosecution ignored a crucial suspect. Daniel had lied about his whereabouts. His phone placed him near the cafe minutes before Lisa collapsed. He had a history of financial fraud, and Lisa threatened to expose him. The toxicology report didn't align with the prosecution's timeline. The case was built on speculation, not proof. In this country, people weren't convicted on maybes. They were convicted on evidence, and the evidence was lacking. The jury deliberated for hours. Some jurors believed Samantha had the poison and knew how to use it. Others questioned Daniel's story. What if he was the real killer? Finally, the jury returned. Samantha sat motionless as the judge asked for the verdict. The courtroom fell silent. We, the jury, find the defendant not guilty. Gasps filled the room. Samantha exhaled sharply, tears welling in her eyes. The prosecutor's jaw clenched. The defense attorney let out a relieved sigh. The judge declared Samantha free. The gavel slammed. Chaos erupted. Outside, reporters swarmed. Samantha Gray walks free, but was justice truly served? Lisa Monroe's family was devastated. Her mother collapsed in tears. Across social media, the case exploded. Some believed in Samantha's innocence. Others were convinced a murderer had just evaded justice. A week later, breaking news emerged. Surveillance footage from a nearby store overlooked during the trial placed Daniel near Lisa's home the night before her death. The footage contradicted his alibi. The police reopened the case. Daniel, once vocal about Samantha's guilt, now found himself under suspicion. Detectives brought him in. "Tell us again where you were that night." Sweat beaded on Daniel's forehead. I told you. I was at home." The detective slid a laptop forward. "Funny, this footage says otherwise." Daniel paled. Days later, he was arrested. A deeper forensic analysis found traces of digitalis in his car. It was enough for a warrant. Investigators uncovered his motive. Lisa had discovered he was embezzling from a non-profit they both supported. She planned to expose him. Faced with overwhelming evidence, Daniel finally confessed. "I didn't mean to. I just wanted to scare her. I didn't think." His voice broke, but it was too late. Samantha, now free but forever marked by the case, spoke to reporters. "I lost everything. My best friend, my reputation. But at least the truth is out." Lisa Monroe's family, though relieved, still grieved. The case became a cautionary tale about how quickly public perception could shift, about the flaws in the justice system, and about the power of truth. In the end, justice was served. But at what cost? What if Daniel Harper was covering for Samantha? The police were too quick to let her go. This question alone unravels an entirely new perspective on the case. Let's break it down step by step. First, let's examine what we know about Daniel Harper. He was one of the last people to see the victim alive. He gave an alibi that checked out, or at least, that's what the police believed. But what if that alibi wasn't for himself, but for someone else? More specifically, Samantha? Samantha was dismissed as a suspect early in the investigation. Too early, perhaps. The police concluded she had no motive, no opportunity. But do we truly know that? Consider this. If Daniel Harper and Samantha were connected in ways the police overlooked, friends, lovers, or even partners in crime, then his alibi might not have been for his own innocence, but to shield her. Covering for someone doesn't always mean outright lying. It could be a carefully constructed omission of key details, a strategic misdirection. Let's talk about motive. Why would Daniel cover for Samantha? Was it out of loyalty, fear, or was he somehow complicit? If Samantha had a stronger motive than initially thought, maybe a hidden conflict with the victim, a financial dispute, or even a personal vendetta, then Daniel stepping in could mean he knew more than he let on. But let's go deeper. What about the evidence? The police cleared Samantha, but did they do so too hastily? Were there inconsistencies in her statement that they ignored? If Daniel Harper provided an alibi that conveniently eliminated suspicion from her, then the real question isn't whether Samantha was innocent, it's whether Daniel was clever enough to make her appear that way. There's another angle to consider. If the police were too quick to dismiss Samantha, could it be that they were influenced by external pressure? Was there a rush to close the case? Did someone in the investigation have a reason to steer it away from her? If so, Daniel's alibi might not have been the only thing protecting Samantha. Now, imagine this alternative scenario. The night of the crime, Samantha was at the scene. Something went wrong. Whether it was intentional or accidental, she found herself in a situation where she needed an out. Enter Daniel Harper. Maybe he arrived after the fact, maybe he helped her escape, or maybe, just maybe, he was involved from the start. Either way, the alibi given to police wasn't just about time and place. It was a carefully placed puzzle piece designed to fit perfectly into the narrative they wanted the authorities to believe. So, what does this mean for the case? If Daniel Harper was covering for Samantha, then everything we thought we knew is up for question. And most importantly, if he was willing to lie for her once, what else is he hiding? This case may not be as closed as we think. But hey, wait. What if Daniel Harper was covering for Samantha? The police were too quick to let her go. Let's take a deep dive into this theory and explore the most plausible alternative scenario. Samantha, the victim's close acquaintance, was initially a person of interest. She had both motive and opportunity, yet the police cleared her quickly. Why? Could Daniel Harper, a key suspect, have taken the fall to protect her? First, let's consider Daniel's behavior. From the moment he was questioned, he seemed hesitant, but never outright defensive. Some might say he accepted the accusations too easily. It's almost as if he expected to be caught, or wanted to divert attention away from someone else. Now, let's talk about Samantha. She had a known dispute with the victim just days before the murder. Witnesses reported hearing raised voices, but the police dismissed it as a personal disagreement. However, timing is everything. The night of the crime, Samantha had an alibi provided by, guess who? Daniel Harper. Convenient, right? Alibis only work if they're airtight, and Daniel's statement wasn't. He claimed he was with Samantha at the time of the murder, but surveillance footage contradicts this. A camera near the crime scene captured someone resembling Samantha in the vicinity. The police brushed it off, citing poor image quality. But should they have looked closer? If Daniel was protecting Samantha, why would he do it? Could it be loyalty, a deeper relationship, or perhaps guilt, knowing that Samantha wasn't acting alone? Let's step back. What if we're focusing on the wrong players? There's a possibility that neither Daniel nor Samantha was the direct perpetrator, but rather an accomplice, or witnesses to something more sinister. Consider this. The crime scene suggested a struggle, yet there were no signs of forced entry. That means the victim likely knew their attacker. If Samantha was there, she might have been involved, but not alone. Who else had access? Enter Michael Graves, the victim's business partner. Unlike Daniel and Samantha, Michael had the most to lose. A financial audit revealed that the victim was about to expose fraudulent activities within their company. If that information came out, Michael's career and freedom would be on the line. Strangely, Michael was never questioned extensively. He provided an alibi, one that seemed rock solid. But here's the catch. His alibi was based on phone records showing he was at home. What it didn't prove was whether someone else used his phone as a decoy. Let's put the puzzle together. Samantha argues with the victim. The victim plans to expose Michael. Daniel provides a shaky alibi for Samantha. Surveillance suggests Samantha was near the scene. Michael benefits the most from the victim's silence. So could Michael have orchestrated the murder and manipulated Samantha and Daniel into being his scapegoats? He had the means, the motive, and possibly even their unknowing assistance in covering his tracks. So, was Daniel Harper covering for Samantha? Possibly. But what if Samantha was covering for someone else? What if she was just a pawn in a larger game? This case isn't as open and shut as it seemed. Perhaps the police let Samantha go too quickly. But more importantly, maybe they never looked deep enough into the person who had the most to gain. What do you think? Was Daniel Harper a protector, a scapegoat, or something else entirely? Let us know your thoughts, and as always, stay curious. Okay, let's get back. Even years later, her name remained tainted. Tired of the harassment, Samantha moved to another city under a new identity. But starting fresh wasn't easy. One day, while working at a small bookstore, she overheard a customer whisper, "That's her, the girl from the murder case." She froze. No matter where she went, her past followed. Meanwhile, Daniel Harper adapted to life behind bars. In prison interviews, he seemed remorseful. "I took something that can never be replaced. I don't deserve forgiveness." Some believed him. Others thought he was just playing the system. Guys like him, they always find a way to manipulate. As time passed, interest in the case faded, except for those directly affected. Lisa Monroe's parents never moved on. Every anniversary of her death, they visited her grave, their grief fresh as ever. No sentence will ever bring her back. Her father withdrew from the world. Her younger brother, now a teenager, struggled with anger and resentment. Lisa's death had shattered more than one life. Some wounds never fully heal. Some names are never cleared, no matter what the courts decide. Samantha Gray would always be the suspect. Lisa Monroe would always be the victim. And Daniel Harper would always be the killer. Justice was served, but was it enough? The case of Lisa Monroe teaches us many things, not just about crime, but about human nature. First, it shows how fragile reputations can be. Samantha Gray was acquitted, but in the court of public opinion, she was never truly free. Second, it reminds us how justice isn't always black and white. Daniel Harper confessed, yet many still question if there was more to the story. And finally, it proves that some wounds never heal. Lisa Monroe's family will never get their daughter back, no matter how many years pass. But perhaps the biggest lesson is this: the truth isn't always what we expect it to be, and sometimes it remains hidden forever. What do you think? Was justice truly served, or is there more to this case than meets the eye? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoy unraveling mysterious crimes, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you never miss our next deep dive into the unknown. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe. And that brings us to the end of today's story. But what do you think? Was Sandra truly guilty? Or could there have been another explanation? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into true crime, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more stories just like this. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. And if you want to support the channel, share this video with a friend who loves mysteries as much as you do. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.